All right, welcome. We're answering one of the 6 questions of the ASVAB questions. And the first question goes,
a bike originally cost $180. Now it is on sale and reduced by 20%. What is now the sales price?
so the question here is, a bike originally cost $180. And when the bike is on sale, right, you go to the store, the bike is on sale and it is reduced by 20%. They're asking for the new sales price. So this is how we get that. Sales price. So the sales price, what we know is original cost price. And what is that?
180.
180. Thank you. $180. So what the question is asking us to do is to reduce the 180 by 20%. Of 180. So when you reduce 180 by 20% of the original price, that's your answer. That's your sales price. So firstly, we're going to calculate 20% of 180. And one of the ways to do that is you take out this first 0 and you put a decimal here, so that cancels the 0. And you multiply the 2 by 18. What do you get?
36.
36. Another way to do percentage is when you have a percentage, to get a real number, you divide the percentage by what?
100.
100. Then we're looking for 20% of 180. Almost the same thing we did here. So this 0 cancels 0, the law of division. This 0 cancels 0. Then you have the same thing. 2 multiplied by 18. And that gives us what?
36.
36. So now, your sales price is
180.
180 minus what?
36.
Thank you. Minus 36, which is your reduction. So this 180 is reduced by 20% of 180. The number you get by reducing 180 by 20% is, now you reduce it by 36. Because 36 is 20% of 180. So what's 180 minus 36?
144.
Thank you. So your answer to the first question is $144. That means when you go to the store, the original price of the bike is 180 and they said it's reduced by 20%. So now what are you going to pay? $144. Thank you very much. All right. The second question of the ASVAB question goes
20 minus negative 5.
20 minus negative 5. This one is a very simple one. Anytime you have two negatives beside each other, it turns to a what?
Positive.
Positive. So this number turns into 20 plus 5, which is 25. So the answer for the second question is 25. The third question of the ASVAB questions is,
a car passes through 3 stops every 10 minutes.
3 stops.
At this rate, how many stops will it pass in 1 hour?
So what we have is 3 stops in 10 minutes. And how many stops in 1 hour? Right? So the question is asking us to find the number of stops the car will pass in 1 hour. If it passes 3 stops, stop every 10 minutes. That's division. So we can do that this way. 3 stops in every 10 minutes is equal to S stop, right? In 1 hour. In these questions, you have to have the same values on the bottom. Meaning, you will turn hours into minutes before you can solve the equation. You will solve 1 hour into minutes so that you can have the same value here. Because here you have 3 stops, here you have X stop. What you're looking for is X stop. But in order to balance the equation, you have to have the same value on the bottom. So how many minutes make 1 hour?
60.
So this equation will now be replaced by 3 minutes, 10 minutes. This one turns into X over, what's now our new number?
60 and
60 minutes. So now, in order to get our X, we cross what we call cross multiply. Alright? So cross multiply means 3x 60 minutes equals X stops by 10. You multiply this by this by this. The equal sign remains in the middle. Alright? So in order to get our X, what do? By law of division, we divide everything by this number. So when we divide everything by 10, so that we can cancel out this 10, we divide both sides by 10. So this 10 goes away. Now we have our numbers of stops for 1 hour. So what's our numbers of stops? We have 3 multiplied by 6. 3 multiplied by 6 stops. That's going to give us how many stops in 1 hour? 18 stops. So look at it this way. If the car stops in 3 stops in every 10 minutes, so in the next, let's say our first 10 minutes is how many stops? 3 stops. The second 10 minutes, let's go this way. The second 10 minutes is going to be how many stops? 6 stops. Because the next 10 minutes is another 3 stops. So that's 6 stops, right? So the second 10 minutes, and now we have how many minutes? 20 minutes. So in 30 minutes, it will have how many stops? In 30 minutes.
9.
Say it louder. 9. So a 9 is half of 1 hour, right? 30 minutes is half of 1 hour. So that means in 1 hour it will have 9 stops multiplied by 2. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because if we keep going by 4th stop, we had another 3 minutes. So 30 minutes is 9 minutes. That means in 1 hour it will go through how many stops?
18.
18 stops. That's the same thing. Does that make sense? So you can do it both ways, because in ASVAB you cannot use a calculator, because you get 6 different 10 minutes from in 1 hour. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the number of stops is what? In 1 hour? 18. Thank you. All right. Number 4 question. of the ASVAB questions goes like,
After eating 25% of the jelly beans, John had 72 left. How many jelly beans did he have originally?
so after eating 25% of a jelly bean, so let's say X is the number of the original jelly bean. So X is the number of the original jelly beans. So after eating 25%, so when they eat 25% of it, that means the X is reduced by 25%. So 25% of X, and we're left with what?
72.
72. Thank you. So now what we're looking for is the X. In order to get the X, this is how we solve the problem. The same X here. Now 25% of a number is a quarter of a number. Remember in our last question, the first question we said to get a number out of 25%, we divide it by what?
100.
100. And when you divide 25 by 100, you get quarter. It's called a quarter. So that means they hit a quarter of the jelly bean. So 1/4 of X jelly bean equals 72. So what that tells us is, in order to get a balanced equation, we multiply each side by 4. Minus, and we multiply this by 4, it cancels out. X equals 72. So when you, because you have X on this side, they're like 4X minus X, you get 3X. Right?
I forgot the 4.
Thank you. So I said we multiply both sides by 4. So this one, we forgot the 4. Thank you. Now, the equation goes like this. 4x minus x equals 72 multiplied by 4. So what that gives us is 3x. It's this. 4 minus 1. That's 3x. Equals
288.
72 multiplied by 4. That's 288. Thank you. And if you not want to know how to do that, just 72 multiplied by 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 7 times 4 is 28. That's how we got 288. So now to find our numbers of jelly beans, we divide both sides by 3. Alright, so that's 3x divided by 3 equals 288 divided by 3. What does that give us? The number of jelly beans, which is x, equals 28 divided by 3. That's 9. Then we have 1 left, right? Then 18 divided by 3. 6. So the number of original jelly beans is 96. And if you want to check your answer, this is how you do it. You say 96 minus, what's the quarter of 96? That's how you do it. Because 25% of x is 72. So you can also get a quarter of 96 by saying 96 minus what is left? 72. So the quarter of 96 is what? That's 96 minus 72. That's 24. So when you reduce 96 by 24, you get a what? 72. So the original jelly beans is 96. So for you to check your answer, you have to make sure you understand a quarter of 96 is what?
24.
24. Thank you. And the easiest way to even do that, if you want to go another route, is you can say a quarter of 96 is 24. That means 72 plus 24 is 96. That's the answer. So the answer for this question, number 4, is 96. Question 5 of the ASVAB question. It's also a percentage question. And the question goes like,
If 50% of x is 150, what is 75% of x?
so what we know is they said if 50% of x is 150. So 50% of x equals 150. What is 75% of x? So here it's a very simple equation. 50% of a number is 150. From our percentage, we know 50% is half of a number. So when half of a number, let's go this way. Half of a number is 150. What's that number?
300.
300. But how did we get to 300? The same way we did our last equation, we multiply each side by 2. So 2, 2. And this 2 crosses out. So that means 150 times 2. That's how we get our 300. So the x here is 300. The x is 300. Now we know our x, the real number is 300. They're asking us to find 75% of 300. 75% of 300. How do we get that? Remember, to get the real natural number from percentage, we do what? We divide by 100. So to take out this percentage, we say 75 divided by 100. This is a very simple equation. The 20 crosses out. In the law of division, when you have two numbers on the same number on the top and the bottom, they cross each other out. Now what you have left for 75% of 300 is 75 multiplied by 3. So your answer is what?
225.
That's good. Thank you. That's 15 plus, that's 21, 22. Your answer here is 225. Thank you. The last question of the ASVAB question, which is question 6, is a factorial question. And it goes like,
what is the factorial of 5?
For those who haven't heard about factorial before, or who if you have heard it from your instructors before, what is a factorial?
It's when, like, since we're doing 5, you do 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1.
Thank you. So a factorial is a number multiplied by itself and all the way to 1. So, for example, if it's a 5, they say, what's the factorial of 5? And it's written like this. 5 factorial. So 5 multiplied by 4, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 2, multiplied by 1. That's the factorial of 5. If they say, what's the factorial of 5? Or something like this. Whichever way, but it's a factorial. When they say, what's the factorial of 5? If you see a sign like this at the back of a number, it means factorial. So, if it's factorial of 6, what do you do?
6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times
the same way. You multiply. So the rule is for factorial x number, to do the multiplication, you do x multiplied by x minus 1 multiplied by x, like that, all the way downwards. You multiply all the way downward until you get to a 1. If it's the number is more than 1. So you multiply the number downwards by the lower numbers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, we are only given factorial of 5. So our answer will multiply 5 by 4, we get what?
20.
20. Multiply by 3, we get what?
60.
60. Multiply by 2, we get what?
120.
120. Multiply by 1,
120.
120. Thank you. That's the factorial of 5. Thank you.